now available in e-readers everywhere. Why 70% of black women are single. Learn the real reasons why 70% of black women are single in this ebook, which breaks down all the reasons why black women just can't get a man. Why 70% of black women are single is now available in e-readers everywhere. I wanted to make a video on Janet Jackson's divorce last week. Unfortunately, I had a torn bicep on my right arm, and this is the arm I primarily use for writing, drawing, and using the computer keyboard. And because this is the arm that I use for doing pretty much about everything, I couldn't really make any videos until I took care of that injury. Now that I've taken care of that injury, I'm going to share my thoughts on this whole Janet Jackson divorce because I believe I have something to contribute to the conversation. After watching David Carroll and Ringo TV Raw's videos on Janet Jackson, I take a look at this picture from the panoramic perspective and I see the tragic tale of a simp. Now, when we look at this whole Janet Jackson divorce situation, we clearly see that Janet Jackson was looking for an Arabian night to take her to a whole new world. That's what we see on the surface because when you take a look at this Janet Jackson objectively and her involvement with this Arab man, you will clearly see that she was looking to pretty much get herself taken care of in her old age. And the way she was looking at getting herself taken care of in her old age was finding herself a nice, big, fat, juicy simp. Now, Janet Jackson in America had pretty much been around the block. I mean, even in the early 80s, she had been involved with Chico DeBarge. And it's been rumored that she had a baby with Chico DeBarge back in the mid 80s when she was having a relationship with him. And then after that, she's been married 3 more times. So her reputation in America was pretty much damaged as it was seen by most American men in her economic class. And in order for her to even think about having a relationship with a man at her age, when she got involved with this Arab man, which was her mid 40s, she was going to have to go down the economic ladder. And Janet Jackson didn't want to go down the economic ladder. But lucky for her, she found herself a nice, big, fat Arab simp. And a lot of people think that these Arab men pretty much are so strong and masculine, and that's not the case at all. When I look at these Arab men objectively, I see quite a few simps because I listen to the way they talk about women, and they're always talking about controlling women, and that's a simp terminology right there. When they're talking about they are in charge of their house and they think that they're in charge of their house because they control their women, it clearly shows me how out of control they are because what a lot of these Arab guys, what happens to them a lot of times is they think that their woman is in the house, they think that their woman is doing what they think that he's told her to do, and in actuality, she's pretty much probably going behind his back. And this is a textbook case, pretty much again, of an Arab simp right here. And I saw another textbook case of this back in the 1990s with the late Dodi Fayed and Princess Diana, because that was another Arab simp. And the big problem with a lot of these Arab simps is when it comes down to American women, they often wear rose-colored glasses. And these rose-colored glasses prevent them from seeing this female for who she truly is. And when it came down to this Arab simp, this Arabian Night, he pretty much had the rose-colored glasses on regarding Janet Jackson. He saw Janet Jackson, the celebrity. And when he looked at her, he saw the 1989 Rhythm Nation Janet Jackson, the woman who was pretty much dancing on stage in the black outfits, talking about she's a part of the Rhythm Nation. That's the Janet Jackson this guy pretty much saw through his rose-colored glasses. He did not see the Janet Jackson we all knew, the one who had pretty much had an illegitimate baby, rumored with Chico DeBarge, the one who had been married 3 times, the woman who was in her mid-40s and on her way to Vegas. And the reason why she was on her way to Vegas is because the Janet Jackson who was hot in 1989 and the big star in 1989, it's been 27 years. And in 27, 28 years, she's pretty much declined quite a bit in popularity. She's declined pretty much in attractiveness. And her social marketplace value has declined considerably. Unfortunately, this guy pretty much just saw the Janet Jackson of his dreams and decided he was going to have the Janet Jackson of his dreams and have a relationship with her. Not understanding that This was a middle-aged, almost on her way out female, and had nothing to bring to his table. And you don't get involved with women like this in a serious relationship. When it comes down to your washed-up females, if they are a former celebrity, what you do is you pretty much follow David Carroll's manual and you have that type of relationship with her, or you go out and have a nice lunch with her and call it a day. You get an autograph and call it a day. And that's what most smart men would do regarding a woman like Janet Jackson, because anybody who understands the entertainment business, anybody who understands celebrities, knows that quite a few of these celebrity females get around with different guys to get all sorts of jobs. There's no reason for you to even think about considering getting in a serious relationship with a woman like Janet Jackson if you're a so-called billionaire, because you have better options and more choices. Unfortunately, because this Arabian Night was nothing more than a simp, he wanted to have the fantasy of marrying Janet Jackson. And he thought he had protected himself with a prenuptial agreement that said if she stayed married to him for 5 years, he would be okay and that she was committed to her. Unfortunately, he didn't understand that this female was getting ready to turn the tables on him like most American women do. Most American women, when they get involved with a man, primarily they're getting involved with him because he has resources. And Janet Jackson looked at this Arab billionaire and saw a nice big pool of resources for her to dive into. Now, Janet Jackson, again, knew that her resources and her opportunity to make resources were starting to decline. She knew she could not be shaking her behind talking about the Rhythm Nation and All Right With Me on a stage for much longer and make millions of dollars, because the audience that was interested in her from my generation, a lot of those people are getting older and their population is thinning out. The Gen X group that knew Janet Jackson from Rhythm Nation, from All Right, from her Control era, those people, they're getting in their 40s and their 50s. So Janet Jackson's pool of resources was drying up for making money for herself. Moreover, the pool of simps that she pretty much used to enjoy getting money from, they were drying up as well. Because that's what happens to older women. As women get older, the pool of men that they would chase after or have to pretty much give her things, that pool starts to shrink down. And this is what leads to so many women talking about why they can't get a man, because the pool of men that they would have gotten involved with, the pool of simps they would have taken advantage of, that pool starts to shrink down. And a lot of times it shrinks down not because these men get married or are involved in other relationships. It's because many men get older and they wise up to the game. This is a point that I made in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, that these guys pretty much start getting older, they start getting more seasoned, they start wising up to the game, and they start seeing women like Janet Jackson for who they truly are. And what happens is, in many cases, is that these women know that the simp pool is shrinking, so they go and they look for one good simp, as Tariq Nasheed said in one of his videos, to get to be taken care of. And sadly, Janet Jackson saw this Arab billionaire, and she saw a way for herself to be taken care of. And she looked at this guy who was looking at her through rose-colored glasses and pretty much set out a plan to get herself taken care of. And like the female chameleon she was, she abandoned her Jehovah's Witness religion and decided to become a part of the Islamic faith. And she put on the burqas and put on the hijabs and stuff and played the role for this Arab billionaire, this Arabian Night, and played the role for 5 years and 2 months. She went as far as having his baby, and pretty much this guy was thinking he's going to have a family with this woman, he's going to have a relationship with this woman. Now, any guy who was sitting there logically and reasonably will sit there and say to himself, why would a man want to get involved, who's a billionaire, want to get involved with a 40-something-year-old woman, a woman who was pretty much, her social marketplace value was gone down to food stamps, a woman who was past her prime, a woman who was almost menopausal? Why would a guy want to get involved with this woman? But when you're a simp, you don't look at the picture objectively, and because you don't look at the picture objectively, you can't see a woman like Janet Jackson, for what she truly is and how little she brings to the table. And because this guy couldn't see that, he wound up getting involved with this woman. She took fertility drugs, got herself a baby by him, and then 2 months after the prenup ended, filed for divorce. And now Janet Jackson is pretty much going to be set for life. She pretty much does not have to ever shake her flabby old sagging behind on a Vegas stage because this Arab billionaire is pretty much going to take care of her because she's now got half of his assets, and then we'll get the other half in child support court because child support, quote unquote, is for the child. But we know that Janet Jackson is going to live a lavish lifestyle at the expense of her Arabian Night. And this guy pretty much got his Arab carpet yanked right out from under him by this gold digging female. And the reason why he got his carpet yanked right off from under him is because, as most simps are, they just see the world through rose colored glasses. They don't see who people truly are. They don't see the history of many of these females. They don't see who this female is, what she's about, and he never asks any serious questions. Now, I look at this whole situation with Janet Jackson and her Arabian Night, and it's a hard lesson for many men out here to learn regarding these women out here. Because, again, when a man gets involved with a woman, he has to start asking hard and serious questions regarding his interactions with them. I mean, if I'm an Arab billionaire or I'm a billionaire, I'm going to look at a woman like Janet Jackson and ask myself, why does this woman want to get involved with me? And then I'm going to look at her history, because as a guy who knew Janet Jackson's history, I sat there and said to myself, this guy really must have been dumber than a box of rocks. Unfortunately, he was as dumb as a box of rocks not to look at this woman's background and say to himself, why would I want to get involved with a woman who has pretty much been rumored to have an illegitimate baby with Chico DeBarge, a woman who has been married 3 times, and why would I want to marry someone who's been married 3 times? Those are another question I would ask. I mean, I may like a celebrity, I may be interested in a celebrity, I may like their work, and if I like their work and I'm a billionaire, yeah, I may call them up for lunch, but I'm not going to date them, and I'm not going to marry them. Again, one meeting, I get an autograph, I get a picture, I'm cool, and that's enough for me. But I look at this guy, he is a textbook case of a simp with money. And it proves a point I made in my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, second edition, where I said, a lame with money is still a lame, and a lame with a female is still a lame. And what makes him a lame is not his money, it's just who he is on the inside. Because this guy, the Arabian Night, pretty much was a lame. He pretty much went out here, got with the girl of his dreams, and now is being burnt by the girl of his dreams. And it pretty much proves another point that I make about these, guys who go out here and swirl. Now, when it comes down to your white guys, they're smart enough to know, let me go up the economic ladder with women of color. Let me get involved with women who make more money. However, when it comes down to some of these other, non-black men, they pretty much, women take advantage of them because they don't see that this woman is trying to go up the economic ladder. So they go up the economic ladder at their expense because these guys are naive, they don't know the game, and they think they're in control when actually they're not in control at all. And because they're not in control of themselves, women pretty much take advantage of them. Because that's what Janet Jackson did. She saw this guy, he was young, he was green, he was naive, and in spite of his billions of dollars, he could not learn. He had all the money in the world, but he just didn't have the social skills to learn enough about the game to avoid being played. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.